this is after we launched the brand, right? So we started selling. So at that point in time, it was just 2 of us. So every order that comes in, we're very happy. But that also means that immediately the grind starts. Which means that we have to fulfill the bag.
Yeah.
So I
no
think
part tour, no movie.
no life. So every day after work, that's when you start. So I guess from there we started selling more bags, started accumulating a bit more of money. Then from there we reinvest back to the business and then started selling. It's not like we pumped in a lot at the start at the show, but it's more of like pretty organic.
Welcome to the Life Happens podcast. It's a collaboration between Prudential and Rise Media. I'm your host, Reggie, aka your Chief Financial Coconut. And we have, a bunch of people on set today to talk about their side hustle. So do you want to just introduce yourself so that everybody knows who you are?
Start first?
Yes, you can start first.
Hi, I'm Daniel. I'm from Rise Media. I'm currently the branded content editor on the editorial board. On this side, I guess I'll be talking about side hustles today.
Yeah.
I'm also a radio DJ under MediaCorp, under the station Indigo. Every Tuesday, I run the show Feature Proof with Daniel Peters. Alongside that, I'm also a freelance journalist and a copywriter.
So you're a multi-side hustler.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, you have a few stuff. What about you?
Hi everyone, I'm Sarah from the Weeblinks. So my brother and I are the Weeblinks, the Wee siblings, and we post on TikTok stuff about finance, investing, trading, and our journey to $1 million.
Nice. Have you gotten there?
Unfortunately not.
Okay, not yet. That's why she's still on the show. Okay, yes.
Still hustling.
Yeah.
Hi everyone, I'm Clarissa. I'm a co-founder at Tao Tao. We make leather bags. That's currently our side hustle, but hopefully one day it will be a full hustle. We don't know.
Great. So that's why we are here to talk about it, right? And this whole thing is part of the Prudential Life Happens campaign. And there's also a brand partnership with Samsung, right? So if you are not a Samsung user, you can go out lah. Okay, but all that aside, okay, maybe we can go a little bit to provide the context for our audience that are tuning in, right? Like, help us understand a little bit more about your side hustle, and maybe also your main hustle, relevance to your own side hustle, right? So that we set the stage before we dive deeper to discuss. So maybe you want to start first?
Yes. Me and my partner, we are actually makers by hand. So we developed this brand called Tao Tao, where we explore the boundaries between leather craft, like analog leather crafts, as well as digital fabrication, like 3D printing. I guess we were at some point in time,
Seeing of our work.
Seeing of our work, didn't know what to do. So we started to explore how that, how the intersection of crafts would look like. So that's how Tao Tao developed.
Okay.
Yeah, so today from that nighttime exploration, now it becomes part of like quite a good chunk of our side hustling. So hopefully one day,
it will become your full hustle. Okay, yeah, we will explore that as we go down today's podcast. What about the rest of you?
For myself, I've been a journalist and a writer for close to 10 years now. I originally started out as a music and culture journalist. I think along the way, and I think this is something that you can attest to as a content creator, a lot of the skills that you pick up are kind of like you learn as you go.
Yes.
So I did find myself in a fairly stressful, but I would also say privileged situation of like having the opportunity to do different things, like produce videos, do podcasts, doing what I do now for a job, which is working with clients to produce branded content. So it was one of those things where for myself, having, I guess, like going from job to job and like you have like certain responsibilities, but for myself, my mind kind of wanders after a while. I don't know whether it's the ADHD thing, because it is kind of true for me as well. But it's like one of those things.
Just say welcome to the club.
Yep.
Okay.
Club.
Suddenly, yeah.
It's one of those things where you want to do different things, and like sometimes when your job, you're focused on one thing, you kind of get distracted as well. But I do feel that by doing, like, having these side hustles, it's not just about, I guess, like the financial benefits of it, but it's gratifying in that way of like learning to apply yourself in different situations and different projects. And like it, to me, really, like having a side hustle is all about expanding your skill sets and in a way also kind of learning new things about yourself as a professional.
No, but I think what is interesting about your story is that it sounds like your side hustles are an extension of your original main hustle.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because like along the way, what I've done over the years has kind of changed. When I was doing journalism, and then I also did marketing as well. I did content production. I did podcasts on the Singapore Community Radio. Now on the rise, I'm doing branded content. I think to me, what I felt was important was that the skills I had kind of like acquired along the way, I wanted to still make use of them. So that's how I guess like I managed to find the side hustles, because these skills were something that I had and I didn't want them to kind of like just like just kind of like sit
and they
alongside,
build on each other, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like it's just all about, I guess, like the very gratifying experience of like applying yourself. So to me, that was why I decided to pick up side hustling in the first place. Yeah.
And I think that's a good point, because I think a lot of listeners, right, they're tuning in, they think of like side hustle, like it's a trendy cool thing, right? Everyone wants to have a side hustle, but they stress over it. It's like, what do side hustle? Then they pick up 3 books, then they read like, and then they watch like 20 YouTube videos thinking that will be a side hustle, right? But I think it sounds like even your story, it's all a natural trajectory of your way of life.
Absolutely.
Right? Like your skill sets eventually evolve into a side hustle. There's a more natural trajectory.
So for me, my first main hustle, I was actually a writer as well. I was a fashion writer way back then. And then so I moved on to another job which was very different. And then I started helping my dad with our family business, doing communications, marketing, sales. So somewhat similar. And then during COVID, so I'm really close to my brother as well. So I work with my dad, but I'm also really close with my brother. And we've always wanted to start a side hustle together. So we've tried many things. We started a YouTube channel. We started an e-commerce business. 1.5 years ago, we like hit the gold mine. Somehow a video we posted on TikTok went viral, and then that's how like our side hustle, the Weebling, started.
Nice. So is that still your side hustle? Is the Weebling still your side hustle? Because I feel like you're very full-time already.
Yeah. So right now I feel like instead of like one side hustle and one main hustle, I feel like I have 2 main hustles.
There is room to discuss, right? Like, why hustle? Right? Because I think I personally I feel like it's 2 sides of the same coin. Like essentially like hustling and laying flat, to me is the reaction to a very intense city life. Right? Like at least in today's way of life, right? So some people choose to lay flat. Then some people be like hustle, right? So like I think all of you can be safely put in the hustle group. Right, you may not agree. We can talk. You may not agree. But why choose to hustle rather than like lay flat and give up?
I mean, for me, like I hustle, right? Like having side hustle. So whether I like it or not, I'm engaging in hustling.
But you don't like the culture.
I don't like the ethos of it because it feels very dog eat dog. The fact that you need to overwork yourself. You need to like focus on the grind set in order to earn your money, in order to make something out of yourself. When I feel that, eventually, like I feel like it's more important to kind of build like a stable, comfortable life for yourself. Aside from that, having good friends around you. It's not about having friends around you who can tell you the best financial tips. Like, how there are those tweets about.
We have very close proximity.
Yes.
Yeah.
No. Like,
the 2 of us.
you don't
are
need
the
to
friends
only have that.
tell you.
Okay, I mean, come on lah. You told me the friend that you came from today. He's not a finance guy.
I get it. Okay, yes.
The idea is that like it's like the pursuit of like wealth. Finance to me is just. It's part of being a professional. You're working, but like to me that's not my main goal in terms of like pursuing these hustles. I want to build skills. I want to work with people. I want to collaborate, and you want to create something meaningful, whether if it's for yourself or for other people. It's just building a healthier ecosystem rather than just getting side hustle so that I can accumulate wealth for myself. But I guess when I was saying I wasn't a proponent for the culture, it's just because it seems like everyone proposes you really work yourself until you reach a certain amount of money. Like it, from what I've seen from the Weeblings as well, it's a lot more wise, strategic tips.
Just two of them dancing lah. On TikTok, dancing
and tips.
tips. Yes.
Whereas
Please don't destroy my brand.
Yeah, we are good friends, so we can say that stuff. You cannot.
It's on the flip side, there are those who just kind of like have a more aggressive approach, but it's not necessarily strategic either. So I feel like that has been the main mindset, the grind set basically, which I feel like that ends up tiring people out and making people more jaded. When in fact, it's all about, I guess, finding how you can best apply yourself and then find out how you can hustle from there.
Okay.
I think like my problem would probably be with the hustle culture evangelists, because I feel like they are pushing it. But I feel like if people decide that hustling makes them happy, then it's fine with me. So I think it really is the goal behind your hustling. Some people need to hustle to feel happy for whatever reason. So it depends on what. So for some people it's money, for some people it's family, for some people it's traveling, freedom. So it really depends. So I wouldn't say like one is right and one is wrong, but it's just what makes you happy and to not listen to what people tell you to do.
I think taking action is important.
Yeah.
Right? If you have a struggle, you want to solve it, do something about it. Right?
I guess it's how easy or quickly you are contented with things. So I think there's some people who are more easily contented, which is good for them because they are happy with less. But for some of us, I guess we are not as easily contented, so we need to work harder to give ourselves.
Yeah.
I like the idea of what Danny said, like hustling is an extension of your skill sets and also your mindset. I think even like when we started Tao Tao for us, it was purely as a, hey, let's see what can our two crafts bring together, right? And I think at that point in time, we weren't really actually thinking about, okay, how are we gonna make money from this? It was only towards the later end when we actually finally got something fruitful out of it that we decided, oh, maybe let's try we try and start a brand, start a business. Both of us are not really business oriented people. So I think taking on that challenge of pushing ourselves to, hey, let's try a new boundary. I think that is what spurred us on. Yeah, it's the idea of
itchy situation.
Yes, correct. And like what you mentioned, like being active about things that you want to try. Then I guess over time as Tao Tao grew, then we started collaborating. So recently we collaborated with Prudential a bit more.
Very natural plug, huh? Love it. Yes,
Sorry.
yes.
Yeah. So I think it's through these collaborations that I think as clients, they also helped us to explore things on the product system that we wouldn't have otherwise given our limited bandwidth or rather resources as well. Try to explore as well.
Can you paint me a little bit more color? Like, okay, so it started with you and your partner, both of you are doing separate crafts.
Yes.
And you try to bring this thing together into a brand, right? And you make bags. At first start with like 5 days, one bag, right? That's it's like 5 days, one bag, how to make money, right? Life is hard.
Yeah.
Okay, then but how did it develop? Like, how's your journey as the business developed? Can you share with us a little bit more?
This is after we launched the brand, right? So we started selling. So at that point in time, it was just two of us. So every order that comes in, we're very happy. But that also means that immediately the grind starts, which means that we have to fulfill the bag.
Yeah.
So
I think
no
part tour, no movie.
no life. So every day after work, that's when you start. So I guess from there we started selling more bags, started accumulating a bit more of money. Then from there we reinvest back to the business. And then started selling. It's not like we pumped in a lot at the start, at the initial, but it's more of like pretty organic.
That's cool. So across the board, right? I mean, we all have slightly different journeys as to how we arrive at our side hustle and all that jazz, right? But what is your goal then? Is it like financial freedom? Are you trying to go full-time into your side hustle, making it into a full-time, like your main hustle? $1 million. That's their tagline on their TikTok, very clear one, $1 million, right? Follow their journey. Yeah. But what is your goal? Is it financial freedom? I think that's what a lot of people want to achieve, in doing side hustles.
I think financial freedom is sweet lah.
Sweet, but what's the but? I can hear the but coming.
Yeah, I think also because we are quite driven by our interests as well. Like very strong. I mean, both of me and my partner, we are pretty hands-on. So in a way, we are always thinking, how can we get more people to know about our craft? We don't have a tangible number to that yet. So I think something like, how do we spread the word of us making bags? Like, how do we collaborate with more people so that the craft of hands-on making and maybe coming up with a brand of your own might be kind of like a midterm goal for us.
Okay. So in other words, it is not just about accumulating for success or for financial
Yeah.
freedom. There is some sort of existential element
Yes,
to this, right?
correct.
Like, oh yeah, I want to have a
Yeah.
legacy. I want to build my
Yes.
own brand.
Yeah, yes,
Okay,
yes.
fair.
Though
And-
financial freedom will be sweet.
Of course. I'm sure
I don't
the
deny that.
ground can attest, all you watching
Yeah.
can attest, right?
Yes.
That's why you're watching.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but what about you? Like,
I mean,
is it financial freedom?
I agree with Clarissa that like financial freedom is sweet, and if I had like that kind of almost unmitigated financial freedom, I'm not even sure that I'll pursue my interests and my hustles the same way.
Yeah.
So I would say that in a way, like in a more existential like perspective, like the struggle is important. You know, I guess like having that kind of like a struggle of you building your career and also like finding how to apply your skills and your interests into like the kind of jobs that you do, right? Like there has to be the sort of tension as well to kind of drive you to kind of do that. So like I'm not building towards a life where I feel financially free, but I feel financially stable. And I feel like that's a baseline for a lot of people. But you know, I feel like that's not a goal that it's so easily achieved as well, depending on, you know, the kind of job that you do, your circumstances, whether or not you're building a family from young. Because let's face it, you know, when you have a family, for example, that's
a different ballgame. Yeah.
So I'm lucky enough where, you know, I'm not in that situation at all right now.
Okay.
So to me, it's just in a way similar to Clarissa as well. Like it still aligns with my interests and, you know, how I apply myself.
Okay.
To me, that's more important. And like in the end, that's what gives me fulfillment. Yeah, more so than like having that kind of financial plan and a goal for me to reach lah. Yeah.
I want to ask you, like, what's the difference between being financially stable and financially free for you? Because these terms are just thrown around all the times, right? So how do you define
I would
them?
say financial freedom means that the choices that you make professionally really do not hinge on like you know, how much you make. Whereas financially stable, when you're financially stable, the jobs that you take, you're still accounting for your expenses, you know, like what your expenses are in life and making sure that the equation makes sense lah. Yeah. Whereas financial freedom, I feel like that's just like you have like a whole different like ball to play lah. Yeah. And like to me, it's like if I'm not gonna build towards financial freedom, that's okay. I feel that like there's a lot more things to be fulfilled by in life than that. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, fair.
Oh, I'm the different one.
Yeah. I want to
So-
financial free and don't do this whole thing. This is the grind set.
So, I mean, for me, and I guess for Aaron as well, my brother, I think for us, financial freedom is very important, and that's the whole premise of our TikTok anyway. For me, I don't like being in a box. So I think financial freedom is important to me because I don't like being told what to do and when. And right now, I mean, to a certain extent, even though we're doing our own things, we are still getting told what to do and when.
Got deadline, got
Yeah.
creative brief.
You're accountable for things.
Yeah, always come in. Can you change this now?
Yes,
Right?
yes.
Yeah, I know.
And I mean, it's not that bad,
It's
to
not
be
bad,
honest,
it's not bad,
compared to other industries that I've been in. Clients are a lot more respectful and understanding. But I think for me, because like we touched briefly on ADHD, I have a lot of different interests. So I like being able to do multiple things at once. So right now, focusing on one or two things is very, very difficult for me. And so that's why for me, it's like financial freedom, and then I can do whatever I want whenever I want.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair.
Not that I'll stop working per se, but I would be able to work on different things and not have to worry about making like focus on one thing, which is very difficult for me. Like the focus. Yeah.
Okay, fair. So then what is the tangible steps then going towards this financial freedom, you know, from your own perspective, like not the generic stuff, right? Like what are tangible, what have you done in this pursuit of financial freedom? Is it developing your side hustles? You know, like what are you planning for this?
So developing our side hustles and saving as much of the extra money as possible. So for us, we're on a journey to $1 million, right? And the $1 million is because once we get the $1 million, we're going to invest all the $1 million and take dividends and reinvest it for as long as possible. So we hope that by the age 40 at least, we should be able to get maybe $6,000 to $10,000 a month in dividends. So then we can do whatever we want. We'll still make money with our other side hustles or our current side hustles, but we don't want to have to do work that we find unfulfilling, or maybe the client is not like a nice client, but they're paying a lot. And then we have to like say, okay.
Basically, you can be a lot more selective.
Correct. Yeah.
So then how important is this element of side hustle in your strategy towards that financial freedom? Because I mean, the basics are there, right? Budget well, save well, anything. You can check out our show, okay, right? Yeah. So,
Mine too.
yes, great, right? We've done this many times, right? So the basics are there, and I think a lot of Singaporeans get the basics, but a lot of times, I think it's also about the top funnel, right? Where you want to get a little bit more of the income, and then you want to monetize your extra time. You want to, essentially the genesis of a side hustle is to try to make more, right? Of course, all the extra things is good lah, like feel good, have your own legacy, all that. But making more, it's a big part, right? So just want to get your take, like how important is it in your strategy, for financial freedom then?
I think for us, sometimes we do feel a little bit burnt out because we haven't taken a single cent out yet. Like everything goes straight into investments. So I think, you have a point where now we're trying to figure out when and how we're going to take some money out so that we don't feel like we're constantly working for nothing.
I think it's the same for us also. Like
because you have not drawn a salary also.
Yeah, we have not drawn salary from Tao Tao. And a lot of it just goes back into, like what is the next collection kind of thing? What is the next material that we're going to explore? So I guess that there might be a certain, sometimes, I'm not sure if disappointment is the word, but it's like when can we get money out? So that I guess once you can, get money coming out, then I guess you would be one step closer towards achieving that kind of financial freedom, meaning that your business has a form of access.
Do you think that you can reach financial freedom with your main hustle?
My main hustle.
Just your main hustle without the side?
I think hardly.
There are a few studies out there, okay, for all of you that don't know. I cannot name draw, okay, but there are a few studies, right? I think if your monthly income can be in the ballpark of somewhere like a 9,000, okay, which, okay, there are Singaporeans that are doing that, okay, 8,000-9,000. CBD lah, right? Almost everybody makes that kind of money, right? So if you're in that ballpark, actually financial freedom, in the essence of being able to do what you want and feeling liberated from the grind, can be achieved quite confidently. Like the numbers just make sense. Across a lot of surveys, it shows that Singaporeans on the median expense about 4,500 a month, right, to live a very good quality of life, right? And every extra dollar that you make up, is rarely it goes back into more expenses, right? So if you increase your surplus on that level, then it's fine, right? But I think for a lot of like younger people, like the more middle management, maybe they will squeeze a 5,000 salary or like 4,000 salary, and then it will feel a bit hard. So then you need the extra lah, right? That little push.
And I think part of pursuing your side hustles also is over time with the experience. Part of it is like self-respect. So like learning when to increase the prices and I guess bolstering your brand and also if you're building a financial strategy, it makes sense to charge more later down the line with the experience and the expertise that you bring as well. So like I feel like that's important, and it's something that it took a while for me to kind of adjust, especially when you're, I guess, like a content creator in that respect, right? Sometimes you just feel again like the hustle is important. So as long as it's like a decent amount, then you're like okay, right? But then after a while, the number doesn't go up. It doesn't make sense out in the end. So like it's all about that strategy of knowing when to really place your worth in how much you charge as well.
Hey, welcome to the Financial Coconut Podcast Network. I'm your host, Reggie, aka your Chief Financial Coconut. And if you're loving what we're creating here, like, share, subscribe, share with your loved ones, comment in the comment section below. And we'll see you for great content on Chills with TFC. Maybe you can share a little bit more. How do you price yourself then? Right. I think honestly, everybody wants to know like all the side hustle secrets, right? So how do you price yourself?
Honestly speaking, it really took me a while. And in fact, I think it was a lot of reevaluation, realizing, oh my God, I actually put in a lot of years into this. I should be increasing. I should have increased it last year already. So it really takes like that big leap as well. So I would say that like you need to have an honest reevaluation of what you've done for work. Not just of like the goals that you want to achieve, but what have you done so far? Like what's in your portfolio, right? Not to humble yourself. In fact, like you kind of need to like gas yourself up also.
Yeah.
So not to the point where you're deluded lah, you're charging a lot, but like having the kind of honest evaluation of like what you've done and realizing that, oh yeah, I actually can charge more because I've really done all of this. And like our culture, it is normal for like people to want to be to kind of like be self-deprecating, right? To be humble in their respect. But I do think you do yourself a disservice lah. It's just being strategic and also being smart and also being self-aware. Yeah, so like I feel like when we talk about financial strategies, that deals with human emotions sometimes as well. You have to be self-aware of yourself so that you can reach the goals that you do want to have. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So what about you? How do you increase your price other than talk to me?
Yeah, so he was like our biggest help. I think the first time we were on his podcast, after the podcast we sat down, he was like, you guys need to increase your price. I was like, okay. The next day I increased my price.
Yeah, and close, right?
Yep.
Oh, you see?
The
Right.
same for us also.
Yeah.
Like you, I mean, you have Reggie. We also had someone from our industry as well who told us, because our first bag that we sold, it was pretty much, I think we had a 30% increase from the first time we sold. So one of the reasons for that was, I think they gave us like, as sometimes when you take into consideration the factors that go into pricing a physical product, yes, at this point in time, you're only looking at yourself. But then what about the other people in the chain? Like, let's say, for instance, you want to do consignment. I mean, one step to financial freedom in the selling of physical goods, right, is the more you sell in X number of time, the more you go up. When they were just sharing with us, like, the prices you charge are too low because it can cover you for now. If you are starting to bring in consignment and paying other people to do your bags,
Do your fulfillment.
yeah, to do your fulfillment, you will see your profits dwindling. And at that point in time, we were like, but if we price too high, will people want to buy or not? Yeah. Yes. But then I guess strangely enough, I guess when you started pricing slightly higher, there's a premium, right?
Yes.
That adds to the brand value.
Yeah.
And I think we benefited from that. Yeah, I think it was also a struggle for us to like, okay, we want to keep the brand affordable. But then you also have to sustain yourself. If not, you will burn out, I think.
I mean, it definitely signifies to people that care a lot about these bags and the effort that's put into each individual product, right? And am I wrong? But there's also AI, an element of AI involved as well in the manufacturing of your bags?
No AI lah, but digital. So like digital fabrication. So like because we 3D print our hardware.
3D printing.
Yeah, so the common misconception is like 3D printing is actually very cheap. It's cheaper than, let's say, if you have to manufacture like a whole truckload using traditional manufacturing methods. With 3D printing, I guess you can explore different colors and you can always keep your inventory agile lah. So your money is not stuck in inventory.
Yeah. What you said about costs coming in later was something that like my brother and I experienced when we started our e-commerce business.
Yeah.
So we sold iPad sleeves that we designed during COVID.
Yeah.
And at first we were like, we're going to sell them. We sold them for a really, really high price, like much higher than other sleeves that we were seeing online, because we wanted to target a specific group of people. And we were like, oh, our profit margin's amazing. It's going to be like 80%. No, after the shipping.
That totally sounds like Aaron. Yeah, it's going to be amazing, 80%. How about Aaron?
And then like with COVID shipping to America, so we were targeting US customers, mostly overseas customers, and the shipping overseas during COVID went up to like $40 per parcel. So we were like, oh no, we did not account for that. So basically our profit margin shrank like a lot.
Yeah.
But for clarity's sake, I think for a lot of listeners, they are not at the level where they can raise price. Okay? Or they are not even at the level where they can come in at a premium. Right? I think we must also clarify that.
Absolutely,
right?
Yeah.
If you are new, you have a full-time job and then you are looking at building this side hustle.
But I do think that you can come in at a premium, like right from the beginning, because that's what we did. For our e-commerce business and even for WeBlinks, I think for our first project, I came in at a premium because based on my previous experience and with friends who also are in the entrepreneurship space, we realized if we don't start charging high, we will never be able to increase our price. So like with my family business as well, it's a service-based business. So our struggle is that we've been charging the same price for 10 years. And it's so hard to increase your price once your clients are used to it. So with that, for our very first like sponsored video, Aaron was like $50.
What?
I was like, I'm charging $1,000. Yeah, so
Until you meet me.
yes, but the problem was after that I never increased my price. But but things that you can, I feel like going in at a premium still gives you an edge. Because imagine if we went in at 50, no matter how many, you have to tell me like 50 times to increase my price before I can even get
Hit
to
1,000.
close to where I am now.
Yeah. Okay, fair. But I think it's also for people, for our listeners tuning in, right? Like, you must be ready to say that, okay, if you come in at a premium, you are essentially pricing out
Correct.
some audience or
Correct. Yeah,
some
absolutely.
client, right?
Yeah. Oh, but branding. So branding's important.
Yeah. So okay, so branding gives you the additional edge, yes, of
Yeah.
course, right? In developing
Yeah.
and trying to charge a premium.
Yeah.
But as we raise our prices,
Yeah.
you will see less and less,
Yeah.
kuchi kurang brands working with
Yes.
us. It's just very hard because they
Yeah.
cannot afford.
Yeah.
Right, so
find
you-
the balance, right?
Yeah. So you gotta, and
Yeah, it's
I
not a
would
sure
say
thing that if you charge more, you will
Yeah,
earn
yeah.
more.
So
I think especially for
Yeah.
service-based.
exactly.
I feel like for
exactly.
consumer products, maybe a little bit easier
Is
to
it?
go in as at a premium with
I think-
branding.
I think that's also a fine line because
Mm.
if let's say your product quality cannot match that, pricing.
Yes,
then also will be hard. So I think there's a fine line between how much you want to raise and like let's say for instance, if you're pricing your bag at this margin, your similar competitor
yeah.
in this space also is pricing at
yeah.
maybe similar price. In terms of quality,
Mm.
how much different are y'all? So
Right.
that's something that we take into consideration when we price as
And also
well.
you guys are craftspeople,
Yeah.
so I think quality is very important.
Yes. Yeah, lor.
Yeah,
It's
unlike
existential.
yeah.
Cannot negotiate one.
Correct.
It's an artist problem.
But if like
so
people are marketers, then they will care less about the quality
it's
and
true.
more about like
Marketers
how they
just want to sell.
Yeah,
About the story.
Correct.
Yeah,
the
okay.
brand.
Yeah.
Fair. So then I think with that as the setting, right? I think you guys very excited about your side hustle, but why aren't you going full time? Like why aren't you doubling down and like just making it your main thing?
I think I still get a lot of like learnings and I guess exposure with working with different people in the industry from my main job.
Okay.
And I think like I guess like let's say for Tao Tao to grow, right? Eventually if we would to have a team, I think knowing how to manage or lead a team is also quite crucial. And I get that from my day job. So I think the intrinsic value or the intrinsic motivation to stay in my day job is the exposure that I get and the learnings that I get that can be, I guess, applied, that can be translated into lah.
So you haven't reached a point where like both sides are like struggling, because I reached that point where like, alamak, I cannot like
You don't know if you can give your full,
I
is
just
it?
cannot give my full on either.
Stretched too thin.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
stretched so
Yeah.
thin.
Yes.
Like my main hustle, I can't give everything. My
Yeah.
side hustle, I can't give
Yeah.
everything. I had to call it quits on something.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right. So where are you on it?
Yeah, I think there's a struggle that a lot of people find. as
Of
well.
course.
And I'm sure Clarissa, you've had your days as well,
Yeah,
right?
yes.
Yeah, like it's finding the balance and also I guess like learning when to it's healthy to tap out and just to kind of take a break for a while as
Yeah.
well. But the fact is like quote unquote self-care is a very popular
Yeah.
topic, right? And
I have so much to say about that. Okay, but
and sometimes it's an inherently privileged kind of like conversation because there are only certain kinds of people who can afford to just take a break for self-care
Exactly,
when
yeah.
other people have to continue
Yeah.
working as well. I think for myself, like similar to Clarissa as well, like the reason why I'm still at Rice as well as a full-timer is because
Rice pays quite well.
aside from that,
I see all the faces at the back.
the-
Sorry.
the people who I work with, the projects that I do, there's a lot of value as well and a lot of things to learn from. And I think I've made a career from learning from my job. And I think that itself is a privilege. So being able to expose yourself to new ways of working, new skills, new opportunities. And like that's the kind of opportunities that sometimes you can't get from side hustling full-time, full hustling, I guess.
Yeah.
So for now, I see a lot of value in working at Rice. So, there are a lot of talented people there. So whenever that day comes, I don't know. But for now, I see a lot of value in working in rice so which is why I'm contented with keeping the other things as side hustles.
But eventually, if you make this into the full hustle, then you will have new side hustle, right? The cycle repeats.
Yeah, that's like a never-ending cycle. It's a bit scary.
So annoying, so annoying. But you, why not full time?
I mean,
I think you're doing quite well.
I mean, frankly, it's about the consistency of the money. I think you know that in our industry, it can be very busy in 1 month and the next month's like quiet. So I think that's one of the reasons. And I kind of feel like we are already kind of like full time. But I think for me, it's because I'm working with my dad and
Cannot
I'm
say
helping
no to
family.
that, huh?
Not cannot say no, but I am very happy helping him. So I feel like there isn't a pot there because it's more flexible. My boss is my boss is my dad, right? So there isn't someone that I have to come in and like take leave to do certain things, like come for interviews, or it's very flexible. So I haven't felt that tension as much. I mean, sometimes I do feel very, very busy, but at least I think dad, brother, both are understanding. So
Okay,
yeah.
fair. But I think for a lot of our listeners tuning in, right? I mean, the word of advice that I have for you guys, right, is at some point in your life, you got to take a bet.
Yep.
Right? At some point in life, you got to take a bet. What's the worst? Just go back to the job, lor.
Yeah.
Right. So and I think a lot of Singaporeans, if you can get to a position where, you know, like you got a brand going, you know, or like we got a media, you know, team going, you know, you got your thing going, but you're still on the fence, huh? Right? Then you have to ask yourself, like, under what circumstances will this situation repeat itself? Is this going to be another 5 years of grind in another thing such that it repeats itself that you can make a decision again? You know, if not, then what's so problematic about taking that bet? Right?
Yeah.
So I think that is important. But of course, you keep your finances low, that will make it easier. You know, those best practices applied, lah, right? If you every weekend still need to like jalan and buy this, do that, everything you gotta do, then it becomes very hard, you know, for you to just kind of call it quits on your main hustle and double down on your side hustle, even though the income may not be 100%.
But also it's the goal of the business, right? Some people just want the side hustle to remain a side hustle because it's like a hobby, or if they just want additional income on top of their full-time job and they don't really want to like manage people, build an empire, build a business. So I guess
I want you can join my team.
he also pays very well.
Okay. So yes, maybe last question. Faster end this conversation. This is another conversation. So last question. Like, I think in the essence of, you know, doing a side hustle, I think a lot of people they are on the fence thinking about it, right? We've kind of shared a lot of like bits and pieces, or like how do you think about this, the different types of side hustles, you know. So if any last things you have, like one tip for them, you know, to kind of get going.
If you're going to build a side hustle just to make more money, I say no, don't.
I say yes though.
Huh?
Yeah.
Okay, different
I
perspective.
say yes.
Different perspective.
But yeah, like I think for me it's just that like in the end you there is a danger of tiring yourself, right? And I think it's more of like finding that interest and learning how you can apply yourself as a professional. Because it's a side hustle, you have time to build it. So I would say don't rush into it in that way, lah. Yeah. If you're doing it just for money, then but also don't rush into it also, because especially if you have a full-time job already and you have that baseline covered, then take your time. Make sure that when you're going to go into this, you're going to bet yourself, you're going to bet big, and it's going to be a confident bet as well. So like sometimes when people say bet yourself, sometimes it might be misconstrued as like a risky bet, you know, like you just need to take the bet, you know, a leap of faith. But sometimes a measured bet also is what can make things, you know, like worth it, lah.
For me, I would say understand your goal of starting the business first. So if you just go into a side hustle without knowing why you're doing it, you can end up running a business that you don't enjoy or is not actually meeting your goal, right? So I think discover the goal, understand your goal, and then start the business. So whether it's money, whether it's a hobby, whether it's just an creative outlet, like, get that sorted first and then start the business.
And it actually evolves over time.
Yes.
Maybe when you first
Yeah.
start, I just started the thing because I wanted a rent.
Yeah.
I was quite annoyed with what people are talking about, so I rented, and it grew.
Yeah.
As it grew,
Yeah.
then you go through multiple
Yeah.
iterations of it. It's
Correct.
like now this brand is beyond just your rent.
Yeah.
Right?
But I
So-
guess you always have to go back and think about it.
Yes.
If not, you won't be moving towards a specific path. You'll just be.
Fair. Love it. Love it. And for you?
I think like starting a side hustle, because you will be working on top of your day job, right? Because it's a side. I think interest is very important because it's what will sustain you. I think it's what will keep you going through the night. But maybe if your interest is for money, then I guess that also will sustain you.
That's totally valid.
Yeah, but I think it's also very important to know what your interest is. And like I don't know whether interest will be similar to goals, but like I think it's more of like for me it's more like skill set aligned. Like how can I grow in terms of my skills? How can I take on a new challenge? Yeah. So I think that's what keeps us going when you're working from 6 to 12 a.m.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Yeah.
I think one thing cool about side hustle is that your relationship with the work and with the side hustle itself evolves over time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get to learn a lot about yourself also, and along with the skills that you accrue also, the people that you meet, like your capabilities as well. Like you get to learn a lot about yourself, and I do think it's worth it. But slow steps, I feel.
Because you don't want to burn out during your side hustle. Also.
Exactly.
Because like let's say for instance you have built a brand in your side hustling. You don't want that brand to just die.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you don't manage your own energies or your time.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I actually have a slightly different view, right? So for me, it's like, okay, you can be happy doing it, but at some point you got to grind and double down, right? And it's not always just about enjoying what you do, because reality is, as you're building a side hustle, if it's a tendency to be a business, then there are a lot of problems to solve, right? And I think recently I was telling somebody, why the problem never end? And then the person was telling me, that is the problem.
Yeah.
You should not believe that the problem will ever end.
Yeah.
Right. So I think there's a lot of those kind of ideas that need to be reshaped. If you're thinking of doing a side hustle, there will be the fun part. You will have the goals that you want to go for. There will also be the pain, right? There will be the annoyance. There'll be like, why client like that?
Yeah.
Why my team like that? There's always, it never ends, right?
But that's what sustains the business. Because if you don't have these kind of problems, right, that means
there's no activity.
That means nothing is going on.
Yeah.
Then that is something that we should be worried.
Yeah, thank you for your time. Thank you. Lovely. Awesome.